Hi. Hi, you can hear me, right? You can see me, right? So, I mean, shut up, AJ.
What an exciting way to start your stream.
I'm so excited. I mean, this is the original background of the room without the green screen. It looks boring like this. It's just drywall, and we are in the middle of moving, so that is why like everything just got taken apart. Like this is even the door, and there's no air conditioner here, so I have to open the door so I can have a little bit of cool air inside the room. Hi everybody. You might hear a little bit of an echo too, but well, I'm sorry, it is the best we can do. I'm moving, so sorry. How are you?
Echo.
Huh?
Echo, not eco.
Echo. Gosh, you sound like a gecko.
Maybe I am.
Hi, Latsu. Hi, everybody. So, I have a bunch of news for you today, and well, EJ is breathing. So, like, we lost all the soundproof thing, and also the carpet for the echo thing. That is why like, we can hear the sound from outside very easily. EJ is working on the book really hard right now about the translation of Marxist Leninist book. Right in the next room, and we will try to finish in the next few days, hopefully. And we're working really hard on it. Yep, 5 days to the election in Brazil, huh? 5 more days. Don't know what will happen. I do think that Lula will win, but still vote for Lula. Because here's the thing, lots of people say this, like Lula is not a real leftist, Lula is not a communist, it's just a sock dam. But here's the thing, yeah, I know that he's not perfect. And I know that he made a lot of compromise, but here's the thing, it is still better than Joe Biden. So I do hope that Lula will win to have some we can see some change in Brazil in particular, and also in Latin America in general. Really hope that Lula will win and Bolsonaro would lose. But here's the thing: you also have to prepare for this. If Lula does win and Bolsonaro lost, what would Bolsonaro do? He would not give up that position like easily, because he said it so many times that there are like only two situations where we will leave. One is when he wins, or one is another is when he dies. I mean, he even threatened to use military and police. It's really scary. It is really scary. But you're complimenting my eyebrows? Thanks. Okay. I do hope that Lula will win. You have 5 more days to prepare for that. I mean, the administration of Bolsonaro have been incredibly awful. Yeah, I mean, it's just awful. It's just literally the fastest who like doesn't give a shit about anyone and just like want to have money and power. That's all. And then so you're very noisy, EJ. Will you stop reading it?
I'm almost done.
So I do hope that Lula will win, man. Please, just. Of course, Bolsonaro is making threats, but we must not concede. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even Trump, when he lost the election, he also threatened that he will not like just walk down, like just like walk away easily. And then there was January 6th. What is it? The Lunar Show.
You're set.
It's a set.
Why is it so?
What? I don't know. Can you put it lower?
I'm working on it.
Ui dồi ôi.
Sorry, folks.
Focus sucks.
It's automatic focus. I don't know what to do. I mean, you could put it on here. Get up.
God damn.
Move.
Hey.
I'm the IT guy. Hi, everybody. It's pretty simple, though, as far as Lula goes. It's just like, yeah, it'd be better to have Lula than Bolsonaro, but don't just become like an
just
electoralist.
Start having brunch like what like the US liberals did when Biden like literally like won.
Right. Just,
Yeah.
Don't rely entirely on the electoral
Looks
process.
way better now.
I know.
God damn you. Go away. What the hell?
You did it. I didn't do it. Are you surprised by your own actions?
I mean, you go and thank you. I'm my IT man, my free IT man.
I hate that I have to wear pants with this. That's the worst part.
Literally, you're my free IT, but it would be the best if we can have a free iced tea.
You want some iced tea? We don't have any ice, though.
Yeah.
Do you want some tea? Or do you want some water?
Water is fine, I guess.
Okay. I can make you some hot tea.
Nah.
Okay. Have fun, everybody.
You really look like a nerd with that pair of glasses.
You picked these glasses out for me.
I did. That.
Go ahead.
The people's free ID man. Oh my gosh. Okay, now let's talk about the topic of the video of the stream today. So it's kind of funny, isn't it? Like for about 4 days ago, the secretary of the Zero Secretary of the United Nations went to Vietnam in an official visit, and he literally said this. Let me share the screen for you so we can all read this thing. Okay. Give me a second. So this.
Cinema Pats likes my glasses.
Yeah, everybody saw it. I saw it already. Okay. Better. I'm trying to fix this. Oh my gosh. I don't have a mouse and it is annoying as heck. I can't even... Forget it. Okay, fine. Try my best. Here. The United Nations Secretary Zero said Vietnam can be a model of success for other countries. So this is really funny because a lot of Vietnamese people saw this were like, ooh, oopsie. I mean, we might did something right. So let's read the article. This is coming from the official news, the EIN news from the United Nations or something like that. So let's start this. On October 21st in Hanoi, Vietnam, on his official visit to Vietnam on Friday, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres commended Vietnam's achievements and said that the country could be a model of success for others. Yeah, welcome.
Antonio Banderas?
Antonio Guterres. Gutierrez.
That's your mouse, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. I even brought Luna the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse. I don't even know where to put it. Okay. Right. Where's the connection? Okay, I have to do this. I have to connect the mouse to the computer, which is very annoying. That do I still have some? I don't have any empty space for it.
It's connected. It's already connected.
No, it's not. Like, dude. Go look at this.
Oh, well then unplug the little dongle that's already there.
I don't want to lose this.
Do it.
Jeez. Please. Okay. So look at this. It's so much so much better with the mouse. Welcome Guterres on the 45th anniversary of Vietnam's United Nations membership, President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc expressed his gratitude to international organizations for support in rebuilding the country after the wars, during the reforms and international integration. The Vietnamese president said that Vietnam consistently implemented the foreign policy line of independence, self-reliance, peace, amity, cooperation, development, diverse, and multilateral foreign relations. Yeah, Vietnam. This is the thing that Vietnam been followed for decades. Like we do not join any military alliance with any other countries. We do not join other countries against other countries. We do not allow any military base, foreign military base in Vietnam, and we want the multilateral kind of foreign relations. We do not side with any country or become the vassal state. We don't. We want to remain our independence and self-reliance. So that this is it's just our official stance, and this is the thing that lots of people, if you follow me on Twitter, you would know that lots of people, especially from rich countries such as from the USA, they've been criticizing Vietnam. So, Vietnam must choose a side, must pick a side. Like, is either China or the US, or else that Vietnam would be like punished or anything. That like, no, we just don't pick a side. This it. And it is like because we are small and teeny tiny country, and whatever kind of side that we choose, the other side would punish us terribly. And just look at the history between like Vietnam and the USA. Like first of all, the USA just bombed Vietnam back to the Stone Age. That's 50 fucking years ago, still in our life memories. So like, of course, we're not gonna judge the USA. And also at the same time with the China thing, we also like China is our biggest partner. But again, we have like 2,000 years of relationship, extremely complicated relationship with each other, and we also will not become something like military ally to any other country, because like it will piss the other side off, and like it's like very dangerous for a country like Vietnam to be like that. So we will not pick a side. And at the same time, the lesson that Vietnam learned, a very hard lesson that we learned in the 70s and 80s, was that with the Sino-Soviet split, and we sided with the Soviet, and it led to the 1979, the border war between Vietnam and China, and also the Pol Pot, where you have to fight against the Pol Pot. So it's like a huge lesson for Vietnam at that time, when we will never make the same kind of decision again. So that is why we will maintain our position, our stance as extremely like just neutral here now. So that's mostly a reason for our stance today. But lots of people with like the chauvinist people who don't understand nothing about the geopolitics at all, and they just like, Vietnam must pick a side. Like it's all up. There are people who say like Vietnam is now already a vassal state to the USA. Vietnam is a US ally. Like they just talk out of their ass. They just don't know anything about our actual stance at all, and that is why they just like said like ding us thing like that. Okay, continue the article. The United Nations Secretary emphasized that Vietnam has a strong commitment to multilateralism and supports the central role of blah, blah, blah. This is like not that actual important. Yeah, the system requested the United to continue its assistance in COVID-19 response. Yeah, and Vietnam is actively working on its commitment to achieving net zero emission by 2050 and requested the United Nations support in this process. Yeah. Vietnam takes climate change and also green energy very seriously. Dislike many other countries such as the USA, who doesn't even sign that agreement yet. And lots of rich people are like, billionaires are denying the climate change, and they do nothing. They can't even pass the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is literally like next to zero, by the way. It's just like teeny tiny thing that you can do for a better environment, but you even can't even do that. Even though like you literally go out to the rest of the world, talking about the USA, you lecture the rest of the world about how to protect the environment, like how to do this, how to do that. But like you in your own fucking country, you can't do fucking nothing. Meanwhile, the country like Vietnam, I showed like the map a while ago. Vietnam is one of the greenest country in Asia right now, with about like 56% of our country is covered by jungle. The saddest thing about Vietnam is this: even though we about half of our country is covered in jungle, and we are trying to push it more. But here's the thing: most of the jungle in Vietnam are like young jungles, like less than 40 years old. And the reason why Vietnam got set back to like only 50% of our country covered by jungle is even though before that it was about 70%. It was because of fucking Vietnam War, because of the USA bomb us back to the Stone Age, and they also spray like toxins and Agent Orange to destroy our jungle. And now hundreds of barrels of toxins still got buried under our soil, and the vast land of us still got terribly contaminated by the toxin. It would take at least another 50 years to maybe save for cultivating again. So most of the thing of like the environment damage that Vietnam have to deal with, not because of us. It's not because of communism. It was because of the fucking war that we had to fight against. That is why, like, like again, another thing is that like a lot of Vietnamese street stripes against Vietnamese anti-communist fascist sympathizers. They just look at the map of Vietnam, right after the war, like in the 80s. And then Vietnam, like vast majority of our jungles were destroyed and empty. And they blame, oh, look at this communism. They destroy all the jungle. So nobody cares about the environment. Like, you fucking dingass. You literally like blame us for like your fucking masters, like burn our forest into like ash, like, and then like they blame us. And like, so we trying to spend the last 40 years to regrow our forest, and we are working on it very hard. And we also we signed the commitment to the net zero by 2050. At least we show some commitment into it. And at the same time, we build a lot of green energy. Literally, like the green energy output in Vietnam is just like 2% lower than the USA, literally the wealthiest country on earth, with like 5 times bigger, and then like 3 times more of like 3.5 times more population, and they like 1,000 times richer than us. And the green energy output of Vietnam is just 2% lower. So green energy output of Vietnam last year was like 12% compared to the total like in the entire name. No, 12%. Yeah, exactly. And the USA is just like 14%. So like that. And the solar energy of Vietnam alone account for 3% of the whole world. So it's like in the last 10 years, the green energy like investment and development of Vietnam alone accounts for 10% of the whole world's development in green energy. So it's a thing that we focus very much on building green energy, and it's very important. It's kind of like ridiculous and hypocrite to see rich countries like the USA just doesn't do anything. And the US military is the most polluted entity on earth, but they don't do nothing about it. They still make more weapons, and they don't do anything. They don't spend any of their huge resources onto saving this world, but they still go around and lecture the whole world on how to protect environment. And the most ridiculous thing is this: they pay money, they use their money to pay NGOs to go around the world to set up like your groups all around the world, and then to lecture the whole world about how to protect the wildlife or how to protect the environment. It's ridiculous. So it is this thing that like we have to deal with the hypocrisy from coming from the USA. Literally, they spend their money on NGOs all around the world to go under the cover of protecting wildlife, protecting the environment, green energy, blah blah blah, to call for Vietnam to move toward like green energy. Why they do nothing at their own home country? And through those NGOs, they collected information about Vietnam and try to create, like try to sabotage and disagreement and color revolution, bullshit, thing like that. So it is very insidious. So please trust us when we say that we do not trust the foreign NGOs in Vietnam. We do not trust them. Maybe there are some actual, real, genuine NGOs out there, but generally speaking, the vast majority of them, they receive money from, the US billionaires and maybe straight up from the US State Department. Like, just look at where the money comes from. You will know that what kind of real intention be behind it. Okay, the article continues with this. He believes that Vietnam would continue the effective implementation of macroeconomic policies to the core, and also protecting the environment, adapting to climate change, and becoming a model of success for other countries. So this is the part that I want to show you. You can go read the article if you want, but I mean, this is the most important thing here. Like, the Vietnam is becoming a model of success for other countries. So it means that we must do something right? So it is very complicated, and I've been talking about this a lot in many of my videos. Vietnam is not perfect. We're just trying our best to survive in this world and to maintain our ideology, which is very hard. And we saw many other countries taught us a lesson, such as the biggest lesson is the USSR, which they collapsed in 1991. Another story was the Yugoslavia, who literally like split it. And another story is like Cuba and North Korea, and also Laos and Cambodia, and in China too. So we saw all those things, and we're just trying our best to move forward and to survive in this society. And here's the thing. I know it's CSH. SCH. Lunarism Vietnam Dung is capitalist. Exactly. The ultra leftists, they've been just like accusing Vietnam of being capitalist. Well, like, whatever Vietnam does, which is successful, is because of capitalism. Whatever Vietnam is evil about, is like it's because of authoritarianism, communism. So even they just like, according from their own kind of arguments like that, it means that Vietnam contains both communism and capitalism, right? Because I will say it again, whatever Vietnam does that it is good, it is because of capitalism. Whatever Vietnam does it is bad, it's because of communism. So like, Vietnam is what? Somehow both, right? And it is fucking true, because we call ourselves right now is on the transitional period of building socialism, of moving from society from capitalism to communism. So it's something in between. So of course we will contain both the elements of communism and elements of capitalism. And this is a choice of Vietnam, and I don't want to say it again because I talk about it so many times. But the reason why, Vietnam had to open our economy and have the reforms, I don't want to explain it once again, but like, thinking that like it was a tough choice for Vietnamese government at that time, because we tried for 10 years to build a moneyless society, but we could not succeed because the rest of the world sanctioned us comprehensively, and we also had to fight against Pol Pot, the communists in the south of Vietnam. So it was really devastating, and that's a tough decision. And millions of Vietnamese were starving to death. That was why I had to do many reforms. And now we're trying to build our socialism and try to exist in this capitalist hellhole. And we, despite so many mistakes and setbacks, we still exist to this day, and our economy is stronger and stronger. And at least it proves that we did something right. We did something right, that we are not sanctioned by the USA anymore, and the rest of the world anymore. And also, we develop our economy is getting stronger and stronger, and also, like, we can trade with the rest of the world right now freely without any threat. But like, I mean, it's still really hard, because our aim is to eliminate capitalism and build socialism and move toward communism. So there's still a long way to go, but at least it showed that at least the world is starting to recognize. Oh, mom calls. That's Alexa, by the way. The reign of Pol Pot, the true human tragedy. I'm making a video about Pol Pot very soon, maybe within 1 or 2 months. I finished the script and I finished the video recording, but I have to do the editing thing. But we are middle of the moving, so I hope that after we finish moving, I can spend time work on it. But I am making a full video about Pol Pot and also about the time when the reason why Vietnam had to fight against them and what did Vietnam have to face during that time and how Vietnam, pivoted later and how it affects our position to this day. But it was really a tragedy. And it is really sad to see. I saw lots of people call themselves Marxist-Leninist communist. I mean, I gotta say, a bunch of MAGA communists too, and also a bunch of, I don't know, they are trolls or they are genuine about it, but it is really devastating to see those people praise Pol Pot and say he was too communist. It's just devastating to see it. It's just so fucking sad, and it makes my blood boil whenever time I saw it. Literally, Pol Pot was never a communist. He was just a psychopath, an opportunist who took the cover of communism to gain support from the region. And then once we took power, he immediately slaughtered the whole country. And his ideology is literally the ideology of a psychopath. Pol Pot believes that the city is corrupted and all corruption comes from the cities, and the city just like the leeches suck all the wealth out of the rural area. So his point is that he wanted to build an agrarian utopia society where there's no cities, no hospitals, no science, no intellectuals, no schools, no religion whatsoever. And everybody must go back to concentration farms, which is literally concentration camps where people work as slaves there. And he moved millions of people from cities out to the rural area and forced them to work in those labor camps. It is devastating. And another thing that is disgusting about this is this: he destroyed all the knowledge of science and medicine, start from scratch. And he literally throw a bunch of kids in a camps and ask them to work on the medicine from scratch over again and erase all the achievement of humanity before about science and medicine like that. It's insane. I can't even describe to you how horrible that is. And also they wanted to create a superiority of race of Khmer people by he want to create the perfect average race. So I read this in the Pol Pot museum in Cambodia itself, not just from some bunch of no-sided source articles from on the internet. I read this on the Museum of Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. They wanted Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot wanted to create a superior race of Khmer people. So he literally forced breeding, eugenics, his own eugenics. So he forced intellectuals, people who can read and write, to marry people who are uneducated. And they people who it's in the museum that beautiful people with ugly people, and forced breeding like that. And it was devastating. And this is Yeah, that is Pol Pot. That is the communist ideology that you're talking about, and it's horrible. And they believe this: all humans are corrupted, and the younger they are, the more pure they are. That was why they tried to kill all old people and disabled people and sick people. Only the young and the healthy can survive. And also they recruit like young, like teens, like 10, 12-year-old kids into their army to try to brainwash them and to make them become, the army of the communists, because they believe that the younger you are, the more pure you are, so you can build a pure society in the future. Huh, it's it. They destroy all. There's no religions allowed whatsoever, and no schools, no books, and they have their own schools, like classes in the jungle, where they taught like the Pol Pot ideology, which is just to brainwash them. So it is. And the shitty thing is, I mean, you can watch the video when my video is out, but the shitty thing is like the whole world knew about it. The whole world knew about it, but they didn't do nothing. They didn't do anything. And Vietnam was the only one country on earth at that time who stood up and tried to end the genocidal regime. In just 4 years of taking power from 1975 to 1979, remember, just 4 years, they killed 25% of their population. The population of Cambodia at the time was just 7 million. And they killed more than like 2 million people. 25%. So it's like crazy. And then like, they say the communists is one of the most deadly regime of humanity in the 20th century. It's horrible like that. And the United Nations, at that time, and also the US, the UK, and even China at that time, they knew all about it, but they didn't do anything because they were actively attack Vietnam at the time, who would just won against the Vietnam War, and they wanted Pol Pot to fuck Vietnam up more because they didn't give a shit about the life of Khmer people, the life of Cambodian people. They just want, like to see us fight, and it's just a tragedy of humanity, and this is really fucked up to see Western, quote unquote, leftist, Marxist, Leninist, communist brace Pol Pot. And they literally wanted to. I saw it. I saw those accounts that they want to build a primitive, an agrarian primitive communist society like Pol Pot, that like literally slaughter a fourth of the population in just a matter of 4 years. Imagine if Vietnam didn't put them down in 1979, how many more people would die? Yeah, clearly he was a primitivist, eugenicist dictator. Literally nothing communist about that. Yep. And this is the thing that I want to talk a little bit about too. Aww, Myanmar, thanks so much. This is my first VND. Purpose is Vietnam's Ukraine war, the Vietnam versus Russian specifically operation. So there's a little bit truth in here. I agree with you. Thank you so much for super chat. Myanmar, this is my good comrade, my good Vietnamese comrade. And yes, the thing is that like the thing that kind of parallel between Vietnam and Ukraine is that, in the between of the two big forces of the war, Vietnam was between China and the USSR, and Ukraine was between NATO and Russia. So kind of some parallel into it. So, and then we learned a huge lesson at that time. So it is not good at all for you to pick a side. Oh, this is I'll talk back a bit about the Pol Pot thing. This is a story that I did not put in my future video, but I want to talk about it a lot because a little bit, because like this is story usually like a person who was like forgotten by history, which was Pol Pot's first wife. Really sad story. So here's the thing: I will give you a quick little like brief summary about her life, but it is really sad. Pol Pot's wife they met each other in Paris, I think, in the 1940s, where they both studied in Paris. And then they met each other there, and they fell in love, and they went back to Cambodia in 1953, and they got married. And Pol Pot was the first, like maybe she was like the first follower of Pol Pot, I think, because like he kind of convert her into like believing in his ideology of like eugenics, kind of primitive communist society like that. And she helped him a lot, on his journey of gaining power over and over again. And she even like when he was in power in Cambodia in the 60s and early 70s, she even like tried to teach Pol Pot's ideology to students in Cambodia. So in the 1975, when Pol Pot took power, and she became the chairman of the woman. It's not exactly like woman union, but something like woman organization of Cambodia. She was the chairman of it, and she literally like got she started in Phnom Penh first, the capital city of Cambodia. And then she found out about the truth of her own husband's ideology, because she literally, walked out of her house and saw dead bodies on the street with like people like got executed, and then it's like horrible shit like that. And it was so crazy. And then, like she had to face the reality of the thing that she's been having her own husband for decades, that she had mental health problems. She went crazy because she could not fathom the fact that that's what her husband and his regime did to her own people. And because of her mental health issue, she was abandoned by her own husband, which is Pol Pot. Pol Pot later sent her to Europe, back to Europe, to a mental hospital in Europe, and had a team of called like bodyguards, to go and just like to make sure that she would not cannot meet anybody there in Europe. And around a few years later, this is the last the last report about her was that it happened in a coffee shop in France. I think that she stayed in France at that time. I could be wrong, but in France, a coffee shop in Paris, and there was a lady, an old lady, along with two other bodyguards that wear like weird uniform that they could not know, and they sit there in that coffee table, and one of the guys said something like, talk to the coffee shop, like one cup of red wine for little Paul's lady. They call like Paul's lady. And then right after, I think that some like the reporter said that it was some like kind of a code, not like an order. It's like a code, a password. And then right after that, a group of a few like Western looking guys just came to the table and just took her away, and then they left. And that was like the last time that people ever saw her. 20 years later, there was a newspaper speaking that just stated that like the Paul's lady died in a mental hospital in the USA. That was it. The last news about her, that was it. And the reporter said that they they said that like it was the CIA who took her away from Paris, something like that. It was CIA that they knew that she had to deal with mental illness and her husband abandoned her, but the CIA still hope that they can take her and try to get like important information about her husband from her. So they took her back to America. Nobody knows what the CIA got, what kind of information the CIA got from her, but she died in a hospital in the USA in the 90s after 20 years staying in the mental hospital in America. Another thing is another sad part of the story is that after Pol Pot sent her to Europe, he totally abandoned her, and he immediately got married to a second wife. It's like totally forgot about the first wife. And another tragedy about her life was this. During the 70s and the late 60s too, she tried to get pregnant and she got pregnant 3 times. And she lost her baby all 3 times. So I think that that was kind of a very important kind of reason why that turned her into that situation, because like she believed somehow that like it was the karma that she had to bear because she had a dictator with like a genocidal dictator like that to take power, and then that's why she could not have a baby of her own. So it's the true story of about the Pol Pot's first wife. It's sad. I read story about her life and was like, hmm. I mean, you spend half of your life believe in what your husband told you, and then when you finally saw the truth, you could not process that truth, and it drive her crazy. And then her husband like immediately abandoned her and got married to a second wife, and then she got abducted by the CIA, and God knows what happened to her in that 10 to 25 years staying in mental hospital in Europe and then in America. Like, such a sad story. I'm sorry to bring you this story, but I think that it's important. Usually a forgotten person of history. People just mostly just talk about Pol Pot and Khmer Rouge, but nobody talks about his wife, his first wife, who lived like. What about the second wife? I didn't hear much from her. I didn't know much from her. I might have to do some more research about that. Unrelated, but do you have a more space to garden at the new place? Yeah, I have a little bit more space for my garden. Gonna be a lot of work, but yeah, it's gonna be a very tough future. I have to do everything from scratch. Okay, to now for the that is the very sad note of this piece of history. Now let's talk a little bit about happier news, which is about Vietnam and Cuba. So Vietnam and Cuba, we have been trying our best to strengthen our relationship with each other. And in the last few years, we've made like very good like progress in doing that. So from 2018 since 2018, Vietnam and I work with Cuba and try to have try to get Cuba give our permission to build industrial zone in Cuba. So let's talk about this first. I know that after this, Vietnam will be attacked by a bunch of ultra leftists, but please let me introduce to you about the situation between Vietnam and Cuba. We're trying our best to strengthen and try our best to help each other, especially like Vietnam trying to help Cuba right now to rebuild their country. And we know this for a fact that Cuba right now, one of their biggest problems is they do not have enough, what do you call it, construction materials. Means that they do not have like enough cement or bricks or iron or metals kind of like that or aluminum to build infrastructure. That is why the infrastructure in Cuba is getting worse and worse every time, because they do not have materials to fix them in their own home country. And if they just import, they don't have enough money to just import everything from outside other countries like that. And on top of everything, the comprehensive embargo set by USA also like make it a lot harder for them to obtain those necessary things. So in 2018, Vietnam, Cuba allowed a construction company in Vietnam. The name is Vigala Serra to build our own industrial zone over there run by us. And Vigala Serra is a company where they make like construction materials such as cement, bricks, tile, something like that, and it's very, very necessary for Cuba. And let me show the article for you. And it helps. I hope that it will help Cuba a lot on the how to build, on like on rebuilding their own infrastructure. So like this is a good story where like we trying to help each other. And yeah, Cuba did allow Vietnam to do that. And in fact, Vietnam is the very first foreign country that Cuba allowed to have our own industrial zone and to run the industrial zone, because like in other countries, if they want to do that, they have to like they have to submit to the Cuba government and under the regulation and totally control of the Cuba government. But in this situation with Vietnam, they just allow us to run the whole thing and build the whole thing. So it's kind of thing that we trust each other a lot. And that's the reason why like Vietnam is the only country to this day, the first country to this day, the first, I'm not sure it's only now, but we were the first for Cuba to really allow to do that. And we are building it. I think we almost finished the industrial zone over there, and it went so well. And then now we are even working on like of having a direct flight between Vietnam and Cuba. And it is like any source here. This is the source I'm showing you right now, mostly from the government of Vietnam, and official meeting between Vietnam and Cuba here. The Vigala Serra company, they're trying to do that. Yeah, it's kind of good news, and we're helping each other. And any way that we can, just by the literal, like, I cannot translate this site. Oh, sorry, folks, cannot. Huh. But anyway, it's you can just go Google it. Vietnam and Cuba and the new industrial zone right here, and just happened in September and October this year, and how we're building towards this. Yeah, yeah, it would be awesome if actually like the direct flight between Vietnam and Cuba could be real, and I mean it's gonna be awesome for both of the country. Yeah, we call it like the V Mariel. That is the name of the industrial zone. The V Mariel started in 2019, and it will take 5 years to finish it. So it will be finished in 2024, I think. I hope. And yeah, and after that, the two countries can help each other more and have a more. That's it. Now here's the thing. The point I'm trying to make is this: I know that a bunch of ultra leftists will use this and try to attack us against both countries, because like that's what they love. They would say something like Vietnam is trying to imperialize Cuba, or Vietnam is capitalist and Cuba also trying to be capitalist, blah blah blah. But it's really ridiculous. But I know that they would do that. And I just like I don't know what to say. And it's just like the two countries following the same ideology, both being terribly punished by the USA. Really just trying so hard to survive in this capitalist hellhole. And we're just trying to help each other. And this is the way to do it. In this, again, as I said, in this capitalist hellhole. Somehow, this is gonna be like, it become an attack against us. You just wait and see. Just wait and see until those ultra leftists saw about this news, they know about this news, and what kind of argument that they will pull against us. Oh, give me a second. I think there is in the CIA archive information of them backing Singapore economically. What are you talking about? Like uh, Singapore having pawn party? What are you talking about that? Yeah, if you're talking about that, if I'm right, Singapore and Thailand were like the biggest henchmen of the US and the UK in helping Pol Pot and the Khmer. This is like they admitted it. You know, they admitted it that Singapore like got a lot of money from the US and UK for helping Pol Pot, and also Thailand too. They even built like refugee camps, quote unquote. But it's actually the camps we have like the Khmer army in Cambodia, and all the money and all the weapons and all the food that the United Nations sent to Cambodia for the Cambodian people were all kept there, and all just got distributed to the Khmer Rouge army, not the people of Cambodia. It's really disgusting. So, and another thing, hey, there's a donation from Passy 18 minutes ago. It's 420. That is a dab. Thank you so much, Passy, for your super chat. Aww. So, yeah, it's about. Okay, I think that's the time to move to the next topic today. I mean, you heard two good news about Vietnam. First is that even the Secretary General of the United Nations said that Vietnam might be the model of success for other countries to follow. The second point is that, like, yeah, not just the entire ASEAN back pump. Yep, you're right. Yes, yeah, the entire, not even just the entire ASEAN, the entire countries in the United Nations support a pump pot, and I talk about that in my future video. But long story short, there were only two countries in the world that were openly. I don't know about the secret, but the secret part, but like there were only two countries that openly supported Vietnam in the 1980s and 1990s. Was first the USSR, and the second is Czechoslovakia. I mean, the two countries didn't exist anymore. I feel so sad. They were the only two countries on the United Nations at that time that openly supported Vietnam to fight against Pol Pot. The rest of the United Nations, they still vote for the chance of the Democratic Cambodia, aka the Khmer Rouge government, to sit there. They still vote for them. I mean, it's really disgusting. But anyway, I hope that you will enjoy the video that I will publish in the future. The thing that I mean is a complicated part of history. And I've been waited for so many years to start talking about this, because I know that I would receive a lot of pushback against that, because I also talk about the nature of the border war between Vietnam and China in 1979 lasted all the way until 1989, when Vietnam withdrew from Cambodia after we successfully put down Khmer Rouge. And I try to avoid talking about this situation because the Vietnam and the China thing, and also the xenophobia, the xenophobia coming from the West too. That's why I try so hard to avoid this. But lately, I do think that we as actual communist Marxists, we need to look at history and learn lessons from it, and try to be able to talk about complicated part of history without being manipulated by the West. This is why I decided to make that video. But yeah, I mean, wait a minute. You're on the NED right now. Hey. So now back to the next topic, which is corruption in Vietnam. I've been talking a lot about corruption, but today especially I want to talk about this news. Even though Vietnam is the success model for other countries to follow according to the United Nations Secretary General, and we also Vietnam is trying so hard to to reach out to Cuba and try both countries try to help each other, have a stronger economy in this world. But we're not perfect. Despite the argument a lot of people had against me, saying like I never criticize the government, I am like the paid agent of the CPV. Like, dude, like I wish that they paying me to do this. Literally, they even say like I'm a paid agent of China, like from Xi Jinping. Like, dude, I really wish. Where's my C-bucks? I really wish that I'm being paid. I'm being paid to do this because that would be so awesome to do what I do and get some earning for living. I freaking wish that the argument against me actually true, so this I can have more some living poor as fuck. By the way, yes, I am about to criticize Vietnam right now, which is corruption. Let me show you this. This is from the official website of the government of Vietnam. All right, not from like some like just source on the internet. This is literally from the government of Vietnam, the government newspaper. You see, official. All right, so please trust me. And this is the headline: disciplining. This is from Vietnamese translated to English, so it's not gonna be perfect. So please understand that. Please pardon me if there's any problem in translating because this is a Google Translate. Disciplining the party personnel committee of Ministry of Education and Training for the 2016 term and 70 So long story short, it means that like the party members who are working for the Ministry of Education is being disciplined by the party, and this is like the procedure of Vietnam. Whenever we found a corrupted members, if they are the member of the Communist Party, at first the Communist Party will punish them, and then the next step we're gonna be to the police and to the to the investigation. So I will give you the reason why we're doing this. The Ministry of Education of Vietnam is extremely corrupted for decades. It is a fact that millions of Vietnamese know about it. It's not even controversial. Like everybody knows that they fucking corrupted, and we've been wanting the government to put an end to this for a very long time. So things started in 1990s when Vietnam just started the Đổi mới reforms, and because of that, we opened the door of capitalism to go in Vietnam. Yes, sad fact. And therefore, from that, the liberals and neoliberals also try to infiltrate Vietnamese government, and one of their very early success was in the Ministry of Education. I talked about this in my previous stream, but I will give you a brief summary right now if you don't know about it. At first, in the 60s, 70s, and in the 80s, all the textbooks for all schools in Vietnam, from primary school to high school, were all printed by the Ministry of Education. There was only one publisher at that time, which was the publisher of the Ministry of Education. Nhà xuất bản Bộ Giáo dục. Yes, there was only one national publisher. That was why, there was just only one official curriculums of textbooks, all right? And we can just students can just use the same textbook for years and years and years to study it, and it costs way less money for Vietnamese people to buy new textbook. But we didn't even have to buy new textbook. The government just bring one a new whole curriculum textbook one time, and then the next year they will pass it down to the younger generation of students, and they can just all study the old textbooks. And Vietnam was so poor at that time. It was really good for our people because we didn't have to buy new textbooks every year and save us a lot of money. And at that time, even schools in Vietnam even had library full of textbooks. And if there's any student that didn't have any textbook, they just go to the library and borrow that textbook home, pay some pennies. It's amazing system. and there's a time like we didn't change much of the information of those textbooks after years of the years. It's pretty basic, simple, and necessary for everybody, and it doesn't need change that much every year. So I mean, the same textbook can be used for 5 to 10 years even. It was amazing for Vietnamese society at the time. But 1986, when we had the reforms and opened our economy, and in the 1990s, some motherfucker liberals and neoliberals in Vietnam also, with the pressure coming from outside of Vietnam and coming from the ding dong liberals in the society, they said like, oh, if the government keeping the monopoly in printing textbook, which means it would mean like corruption and the government control everything. It is so bad. Information is so important. And look at the West, like at that time, look at the West, like the publishers company, they have their right to work on it, and they have the best scientific work on it, the best like lecturers who work on it. So they have the best set of curriculum books, and like the price is very cheap because they had competition. Sorry, they had competition in book publishing. So it was so good, and that pushed Vietnam out of that monopoly in reading textbooks. And Vietnam did it. Yeah, Vietnam did it. They took away the power of the Ministry of Education at that time of working on textbook and gave it to a bunch of private publishers. And I was the lab rat. I was born in 1991 and I was 6 years old in 1997. I went to the schools of Vietnam, primary school, and my generation was the first generation that had to deal with this shit. I was the lab rat. So in my brother's time, he was born in 1980 something. My mom just like, it was so fucking poor. That was so poor. And whenever my like the new school years coming, my mom just had to go to the old textbook and buy a bunch of old ass textbook for my brother. It's so cheap price, like almost like close to nothing. And then the price of the textbook was never a problem to my mom and my family at all, even though we were poor as fuck. But my time in 1997, I was the lab rat. And my mom had to spend shit tons of money on my new textbook every single year for 12 fucking years. From grade number 1 to grade number 12. It was horrible. I was like, my family is so fucking poor. We didn't even have like meat to eat, just like vegetable and rice and fish sauce. And like I just look at my pile of brand new textbook, I feel so bad. Like I don't need this. We still have a bunch of old textbook of my brother, but we couldn't use it at all. We could not. And we just like throw them down into some like corner of the house, and I had to spend tons of money on brand new, colorful, and beautiful textbooks. But I feel horrible. I feel bad every single year going to school because like, God damn it, I could have spent like this money on something else, not like this stupid textbook, and had to do it again and again and again for 12 years. It's horrible. All right. And at first I thought that, okay, I guess they just work on it now. So like for the next few years, I can sell my textbooks, to the second-hand bookstore for the next generation of school, that I can make some money back. It's like, that was my hope. But you know what? Since those private company had the power of working on the textbook and printing textbooks, every single year they change a little bit in the information inside the textbook. So the next year I have to buy a whole brand new curriculum again. Could not reuse it. Means that I couldn't even sell my old textbook anymore. Like, holy shit, just horrible. It's so horrible. Like, I had to spend tons of money on buying the new ones because I must. And then after that, I cannot sell them because nobody buy them. Because nobody can reuse it because the next year there's a brand new whole set of textbook again. That is what you deal with when The private capitalist company took power in society. Fuck the free market shit. Fuck the competition shit. This is me. I had to live through that thing. And literally compare my life to my brother. It was like, we were poor as fuck, but at least we could save some money on, textbook. And like my brother turned out to be okay. He's now working for the government, being like the engineer. He works for the power plant. He's like engineer, electrician, working down. It turned out well. He studied just the old textbook printed by the government. It's fine. And I had to learn the textbook from a fucking private company. So it is horrible. So anybody to this day that still think about like competition is good, like privatization is good, fuck you all. You don't know shit. Everything that capitalists touch, they would turn that into shit because all they care about is money and profit. Just look at the 5 pharmaceuticals in the USA right now, shake hands together and control the price of medicine in the USA. Competition, my ass. Free market, my fucking ass. Literally, those 5 companies, instead of competing with each other to give a customer a low price, good for the customer, free market, they shake hands together and do all together raise prices of medicine. So the whole country had to pay 10 times more of the price of the same exact medicine. Just look at how much you have to pay for insulin every month compared to the amount of the money you have to pay for insulin in Vietnam. In Vietnam, around 14 to 16 US dollars for the amount of insulin, enough for you to live for 3 months. Can you believe it? $15 for insulin, enough for you to live for 3 months. But now how much you pay for insulin a month in the USA? And the scientist, the doctor who came up with insulin, sold his whole invention to pharmaceutical company in the USA for just $1. $1. He only sold his whole invention to pharmaceutical companies for just $1. And he said that it was because he hoped that this could become a universal kind of insulin, kind of medicine that will have millions of lives in the future. And he doesn't want to make money out of it. He felt bad for making money out of it because insulin is so essential for human life. So he took only $1 for his own invention. Now, how much you have to pay for insulin in the USA? It's insane. It's crazy. The amount that I read, somebody told me that they spend over $600 a month just for insulin. And some people had to drive all the way from the USA to Canada so it can just buy a little bit cheaper insulin. That is capitalism we're talking about here. Competition, my fucking ass. I had to live through this. Horrible. So now, and since then, the neoliberals and liberals just infiltrate into the Ministry of Education in Vietnam. And it was so horrible that it just got worse and worse and worse every single year since 1997 until even to this day, 2022. Finally, this year, the government of Vietnam put an end to this. They are going after this Ministry of Education right now, and that is why they are punishing and disciplining and also kick out the member who super corrupted. I do hope that I will see those people going to prison very soon, and we're gonna have a whole new members of the Ministry of Education, so we can start take back the power of those private publishers, and then resume the monopoly of the education of Ministry of Education in printing textbook, and we can put an end to this because every single year right now, the books are just more and more expensive, and there are more and more books that need to be bought. It's just It's a waste of resources and waste of energy, you know. Instead of reusing books, every single year they bring new books, they bring new books, more books, and right after 1 year, this is all got thrown away. A huge waste of resources and energy just through that, so they can just make more money, more profit every year. So yeah, that's it. We have to deal with like the fucking corruption and capitalism, and also at the same time, like yes, at the same time that those capitalist companies, they are fucking horrible, but at the same time, even the members of the Communist Party of Vietnam and the members of the government of Vietnam, they being bought off, and then they work for those capitalists. It's really fucking bad. So yeah, Vietnam is not fucking perfect, and I'm mad at this. I am literally the lab rat, and I hate this. I want. Here's the thing: Vietnam been blamed, been criticized of being like authoritarian, totalitarian, no freedom whatsoever. But like, I wish that Vietnam would be more authoritarian in this sense. Please regain the monopoly in printing textbooks. Please be more authoritarian and kick out these capitalists out of the government of the Communist Party in Vietnam, please. God damn it. I do that. They do that in Canada too. I have two textbooks, one physical and one Kindle. They both have the same problem, just on different pages. Yep. I mean, everything they touch turns into shit. And here's the thing too. You're upgrading your textbooks, your online textbook. Here's the thing. You don't even need to upgrade them that much. Seriously. Just teach like basic stuff, like the basic stuff will not change like in every few months. All right, just teach them basic, because they just kids. Come on, teach them some basic history of World War One, World War Two, some ancient history, and also teach them something like geography and some basic maths and physics, and the thing that we've been learning for hundreds of years, and nobody will ever change it, right? And just do that. I mean, they don't need to know that much. And if they want to learn more, okay, they can go online. We have an online set of textbook with more deeper information, or like you can do that in university or something. But from kids from like primary school to high school, they don't need that much information. The one and the big problem that we have dealing with right now is that like we are putting more and more amount of information for our kids that is unnecessary. They don't have enough time to go out and play and have a childhood anymore, because they have to sit there and study, finish all the homework, and to pass the exam. The problem that we're having right now is that we have to pass the exam to go to university. And like it's just the heavier the knowledge, just heavier and heavier, and you're really forcing like 15-year-old kids to deal with like math questions from like university. This is ridiculous. And the thing that Vietnamese society is having right now is this: Vietnamese parents trying to compete with each other by like they compare the children to other family children. Also, like they want the children to pass the exam with as a high score as possible. They just force them to like study and study and study the whole day. And a lot of kids, like in the last year, there are more and more news of Vietnamese kids that committed suicide. 15-year-old, 16-year-old committed suicide because they could not deal with the pressure coming from the parents anymore. They did not have a time for their own. That is the problem that Vietnam is dealing with right now. The same problem with like South Korea or China. Kids compete with each other, and they had to like sacrifice their whole childhood into just sit on the table and study on the front of books, and like to trying to get like smarter and smarter. And it's so bad. I'm surprised. And a communist country would let your education become play to play. It happens when you have to survive with this capitalist hellhole. You receive terrible amount of pressure and pushback from the outside world to force you to do things you know that it would be bad, but you have to do it. And then things turn bad and they blame us. What? No. But do you think it was a mistake of Vietnam to let Cambodia to abandon socialists? No, I don't think it's a mistake. We did what we can. We try our best. The future decisions on their own. We did the best we can, which is to end the genocidal regime of the Khmer Rouge, and then we gave back their power, and then we came back home, and that's it. I mean, the future, like, we're not responsible for anybody else. No, it's so hard already for us to just survive on our own and to keep following our socialist path. We are not responsible for any other countries, and whatever they are today is their fault, because like we did what we can and we did the best, and that's it. It's futures in the end. Cambodia right now is decaying. I gotta say, it's bad. Literally, they let capitalists control their whole country and just bought off every like place they can, like real estate, and it's turning into shit. I mean, it's literally capitalist dystopian kind of country. It's fucking sad, but it is what it is, and we did what we can, and whatever they turn into the future, just the problem is on themselves, because we also have our own problems to deal with. We are not their parents, so yeah. Dan Sullivan, thank you so much for your donation. So this called Monkey here. Are there any software projects that you recommend that I look at if I want to push my skills to use? If not, what tools do y'all find yourself wishing that you had? Broad question, I know, but I'm looking for something to do. Oh, that's interesting. EJ, anh ơi, EJ might have some suggestion. I think he's wearing headphones. You couldn't hear me?
What? What's up?
Super Chat is asking a question.
About what? Hold on, I'll be right there. You just gonna be silent until I show up?
Yep, exactly. So Dan Sullivan asked, so this code monkey here, so they like coder.
Yeah, I get it.
Are there any software projects that you recommend that I look at if I want to put my skills to use? If not, you have any?
Oh gosh,
idea?
I mean, so much stuff. God.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you would have so many.
I mean, what we need is we need alternative to capitalist platforms for one thing. Like, okay, for instance, Elon Musk is about to buy Twitter. And even if he doesn't, Twitter sucks. So there's stuff like Mastodon. You can make a Mastodon instance, or you can make a PeerTube instance, something like that. There is a PeerTube instance already called breadtube.tv. And we're on that. And I mean, I haven't updated it in a long time, but you could get involved with that. I'm skeptical about Mastodon specifically because it emulates a lot of Twitter's functionality, and I used to push it really hard, but it's like I feel like it has a lot of the same flaws that Twitter has. But just I would just generally say, thinking about alternatives to capitalist platforms that change the paradigm and are more human and less alienating and less capitalist oriented. Then also there you could find an org that you like, whatever it is, IWW or a party or any kind of org, and you can just say, hey, do you need some coding done? Because I'm sure there's somebody who can help you who would love to be served by that. I have this idea for a community for rebuilding YouTube's community subtitles feature, because they got rid of that years ago and it really sucks. I don't think it would be that hard to do. You'd have to just kind of rebuild what they used to have, because what they used to have is a system where you can just, I mean, they still have it, but now it's just like behind the management wall of the YouTube channel. So if you want to add subtitles to a video, you have to have permission. You have to become basically a moderator, like an admin for them on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Whereas it'd be cool if it was just like completely community supported. So building something like that would be really cool. And I have a lot of ideas about that. If you want to email me, I can just tell you my thoughts for how that could be. I don't think it would be that
What's your email address?
noncompetecoop@gmail.com. Just tell them it's in there.
Here. Is in here.
Yeah, noncompetecoop@gmail.com. I mean, yeah, I have a million thoughts, but I mean, just the general thing is just we have all these, we rely so much on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch, and I know that there are reasons for that. Like for instance, streaming video takes a lot of resources. Yeah. So it's hard to come up with like a federated or non-capitalist alternative to that. I like this comment. I missed the early internet days that the early internet days were so much open source because it was made from passion. Thankfully, it still exists in modding. I mean, I remember making a website with HTML, in like 1997 or 98 or something like that. The internet used to be handmade, and I think that's why there was a lot less alienation. Like social media is cool because it makes it more accessible, but it sucks because it's pushing you into this capitalist framework that leads to a significant amount of alienation. So, and it's like, okay, I guess my last thing I'll say, and then I'll probably jet, but if you're going to start developing projects, don't just emulate the capitalist platform. That's my biggest critique of Mastodon. Like Mastodon is just a clone of Twitter. Try to think about how we can make these platforms more human and less alienating. And I mean, I don't have specific prescriptions for that, but that's the direction I would encourage people to look at, because like Facebook and Twitter are very much designed to make your content a product and to make you addicted.
And then also like negative kind of.
Yeah. And like the way the algorithms work is just so, like, I would love to see, because Musk talks about this in like a very capitalist way, about having like subscription algorithms. But I want to have an algorithm where we as users have control and we can like basically set up our own algorithms. And I don't think it would be that, like, it shouldn't be that hard for people to be able to do that intuitively. Like just have some check boxes and, rank like the priority of things, like, I don't know. I mean, this goes beyond my wheelhouse because I'm definitely not a coder or developer.
Christopher who, man?
What keeps eyes on more than rage bait? I mean, we have to like, that's the thing. We have to build a counterculture. I would say every software developer who wants to get radical, you need to read things like Society of the Spectacle, and you need to read Gramsci when Gramsci talks about building counterculture, because you need like a philosophical foundation for what you're doing. Like you can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but you need to have some philosophy backing it in terms of like what these platforms are going to do for the movement and for the working class and for humanity, if that makes sense. Like we have UX and UI, right? We need to start having like a new field, which is radically humanizing an online counterculture. And we need software developers to do that. So I'm sorry, that was a vague, rambly answer. But I'm just disappointed in a lot of the projects I see because they just seem to be like attempts to make a non-capitalist clone of a capitalist design platform. Like, don't do that. Do something different. So I don't know. And I love talking about this stuff. So if you want to email me, we could just continue the conversation. I have a lot more questions than answers probably, but and by the way, if you have a need for a software developer for a project and you're anti-capitalist and stuff, then contact me at the same email address and maybe we can help put people together. You know what I mean? Like if you have a need, this person has some spare time, we can try to facilitate networking. That would be cool. Okay. Did that answer the question? Thanks for the super chat. Oh, and you did 420. That gets you a dab. All right. Back to work on the Luna book.
Okay. So another to follow up the question from Don, and like the post-Khmer Rouge government wasn't basically a puppet regime of Vietnam. No, I mean I don't know what your source say, but we don't consider them to be a puppet regime. And actually, if they were our puppet regime, they would not turn into shit right now. I gotta say, if they were really our puppet regime, god damn, they would not turn into a capitalist hellhole right now. The thing is, like, of course, we care about the geopolitical kind of thing. That's very important. And Cambodia is right next to our border, so we have to care about them. Just care like friends in the same area, because, like, whatever you say about this region, but like Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, we've been lumped together, and we had to go through a lot of same history with each other, hundreds of years under colonialism and imperialism. So we have to care, and we should care about each other as friends. But to say that they are vassal states in Vietnam, it's like, no, Vietnam does not take any vassal state, and we don't have that kind of policy whatsoever at all. What we want to do is friendship, and like to cooperative kind of friendship, that we both work together to develop our country. But like, we don't have any dream or idea of taking like vassal state or anything. Like, it's kind of I think that it came from the Cold War kind of era. The idea that Vietnam would be, because Vietnam followed the USSR, so they kind of, even Pol Pot himself spread the lie that, like, why he was so anti-Vietnam, because he spread the lie that Vietnam would turn Laos and Cambodia into, like vassal state, and call it, form a new federation of Vietnam or something, which is totally bullshit. That's baseless. There's no evidence whatsoever that Vietnam would ever want to do that, and we did not, and nothing happened. Okay. But I think that the mindset of the Cold War, that like we have to have a vassal state, like Vietnam, our stand is absolutely different. Like, we don't have any kind of mindset like that we have to become the power, we have to take vassal states, a puppet regime, and anything. We have, so the story of Hun Sen, the prime minister of Vietnam, of Cambodia right now, that lots of people saying like he's a puppet of Vietnam. Like, I really wish that they're actually a puppet or something, because like, if they that, at least they would not turn into capitalist hellhole right now. But the story of Hun Sen is this. Hun Sen used to be a soldier of the Khmer Rouge. He was a member of the Angkor Special Force of the Khmer Rouge from 1972 to 1974. And he joined the Khmer Rouge when he was just like 23 years old, very young. He worked for them for 2 years, and he saw all the atrocities that the Khmer Rouge did to his own people. So in 1970. Oh no, I was wrong a little bit. He went to Vietnam in 1978. God damn. Okay, he went to Vietnam in 1978, so he joined the Khmer Rouge in 1976, something like that. Yes, 2 years before that he was when. So he fought for the Khmer Rouge for 2 years as a young soldier of the Special Force, Angkor Special Force. After 2 years, he saw the atrocities committed by the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot. He and 4 other soldiers, total 5 people, crossed the jungle of Cambodia to Vietnam. They had to run for nearly like 2 days and 1 night in the jungle between Vietnam and Cambodia, and he went to Vietnam. And in the biography that he wrote about the time when like they had to hide away from the other Khmer Rouge soldiers. Just like when if they knew that they were like trying to escape, they would be slaughtered by the Khmer Rouge, so they had to run away. But more like they just had like some like rice with them, like barely anything to eat. They had to eat just like cook like forest in the jungle to eat and then keep running through the jungle. And when they run, they crossed the border of Vietnam, the next fear was that like they afraid that the Vietnamese people at that time and like saw them as like the communist soldier, and we would like try to chase them out because like the communist soldiers, they slaughter Vietnamese people too, so we hated them very much. They were afraid that they would be kicked out and chased out by Vietnamese people too, so like really scary kind of days. So he went and closely walked into the cross the border of Vietnam, changed clothes into like normal Vietnamese clothes, and finally on the next like the day second or day third or something, they met like one or two Vietnamese farmers who were like just got back to work from their farm. And then they tried to talk to that Vietnamese farmer, and the Vietnamese farmer was like very skeptical about them, and brought them to the military base near the area. And then after like a night of investigation and talk, they finally like trust that group of people of the ex-communist soldier. And then 1 year later, after the call from the Hun Sen himself and his team, it took us 1 year to prepare. So in 1979, early 1979, we sent volunteer soldiers to go to the communist and to end that position. And it took another 10 years to really, because like Pol Pot, after got kicked out from the government, he like pulled back to the jungle and tried to fight for the next 10 years. And it took like us like another 10 years to really help Cambodia form a new government. And Hun Sen, the guy who escaped from the communists, went to Vietnam to call for help. After that, he became the prime minister of Cambodia. That was the story of the prime minister. And that was the reason why people keep saying like Cambodia is the vassal state of Vietnam, because literally Vietnam tried to put that guy onto the power. It's like we put that guy onto the power not because like he's just like it was because like he was the first who dared to escape the communist regime and go here into us. Like we trusted him and put him. And then after years, we still got re-elected by his own people. So I mean, and it's not we like the relationship of good friendship, and we are like literally neighbors to each other. So yeah. Wikipedia. Okay, got it. So please, from now on, do not trust Wikipedia when you read anything related to geopolitics, especially geopolitics about Asian countries. So no, they're not good source. Oh my gosh, Vietnam was that trapping its smaller neighbors. God fucking damn. Gosh. I mean, they get like they projecting. Whatever they do to the smaller countries, they think that Vietnam's doing the same thing. Suphanuvong, the Red Greens. Yeah, I'm talking about Lao. Lao is also a very important friend of ours. Great contribution to the victory against colonialism and imperialism of the whole region. So Suphanuvong is the Red Greens of Lao. He was the member of the royal family. He was literally the really royal prince of Lao Kingdom, and he became communist, and he had a relationship with Ho Chi Minh, and he was a revolutionist, and he wanted Lao to become socialist as Vietnam, follow the same path. Another important figure of Lao was Quezon Phongvihan. Quezon, he's still alive. Is he the chairman of Lao, or he's a Communist Party leader? I could be wrong, one of the two positions, but anyway, the Quezon Phongvihan is really a true revolutionist, and they have a Quezon Phongvihan thought. Just as Vietnam, we have a Ho Chi Minh thought. In Lao, they have a Quezon Phongvihan thought, and talk a lot about the path to build socialism of Lao. Vietnam followed the đổi mới reforms in 1986. 3 years later, Laos also had their own reforms in 1989. This is the both country had to go through this kind of very similar situation. And yeah, they both awesome. So found among the Red Greens and the Quezon from behind the true revolutionist with the Quezon from behind thought. This about this question is true. It's true because they did the same thing to Vietnamese people, the Vietnamese kids. It's true, and that's the slogan of Pol Pot at that time was to save every bullet as possible, as much as possible, to save all the bullets. Do not waste any bullets on those lives. So yes, they use all kinds of horrible ways to kill people like that without using guns or bullets. Actually, kill by guns or bullets is actually the mercy way, because it is a quick death that they did not want to waste any of that, so they find all kinds of that. Yes, they saying, yeah, I don't want to talk more about it. I don't dare to because it's gonna be violation of TOS, Thomas Ellis. But yeah, just knowing your head that executed by guns was actually a mercy in that time. Oh, there's a new donation from John. Thank you so much. If there was such an arise issue with things like school books, which apparently are not even provided by the state but by the market private sector, couldn't that mean the markets were a mistake for Vietnam and they should have followed the DPRK path? Thank you so much for your donation, but this is I want to say this: the Vietnam path or the DPRK path, we cannot blame anybody for choosing different paths because the both country had to be at the exact, kind of not exact, but like kind of same situation. Both want to build socialism and both comprehensively sanctioned by the US. All right, and I do not blame the DPRK for choosing their paths. It's very tough, and they still under sanction right now. A lot of people had to suffer, but I don't blame them. I also hope you do not blame Vietnam for what we did, because here's the thing: it's always the trade-off, and it depends on your ideology, your actual material condition that you have in your own, decision, and whatever kind of, we know whatever kind of decision we have, we're gonna bear consequence and punishment for that. So the DPRK, they chose to keep like a closed economy like that. So the thing that we have to deal right now, you all know, but I don't want to talk more about the atrocities and the hardship that the DPRK had to deal with, about Vietnam situation. It's also a very tough decision of Vietnam. Millions of Vietnamese faced starvation at that time. We also had just like got out of the war with the USA. We just got bombed back to the Stone Age with the talk like Agent Orange and toxin like that. We also had to spend 10 more years fighting against Pol Pot in Cambodia. At the same time, because of that, the whole world took it as an excuse to comprehensively sanction Vietnam. At the same time, the USSR collapsed. At the same time, the China back Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. So that we had like border war with China in 1979 until 1989. China at that time under Deng Xiaoping redirected all the aid that they sent to Vietnam to Cambodia instead. So we did not have any aid from China. The USSR was on the verge of collapsing. They didn't even care about us anymore since the early 1980s. So in that situation where we literally had no allies whatsoever and we were starving to death, how do you blame Vietnam for opening our country to save millions of starving people? It is, you cannot ask that, like millions of people should have died of starvation so we can keep the pure ideology. It's a thing that, like, yes, the corruption in the ministry is bad. Like, and like we have to spend more money on buying the the textbook right now, and it sucks for our boy. Yes, but can you compare that to atrocities of literal genocide of millions of Vietnamese at that time? Can't. I'd rather check this off so my parents can stay alive. My mom could have died. My dad could have died. If it was not because of reopening the country so we can trade off with other countries, we can have a food for our own people. Here's the thing about the DPRK kind of situation. At least they still had China to aid them and back them up. There was not a thing like Cambodia, Khmer Rouge kind of situation. But in the 80s and the 70s, China cut it off totally on Vietnam because they were supporting the Pol Pot and Khmer Rouge. Literally, we were left alone. The only countries that could have Vietnam was Laos, which was also devastated by the war, like fucking devastated, and they were like next to Cambodia too. Their border also got like attacked too. The other country was Cuba, which was on the other side of the earth, comprehensively sanctioned by the USA. DPRK also comprehensively sanctioned because it couldn't have it all. So this is a situation that like, so like I really don't understand their point here. Like, are you literally saying that like millions of people should have died, right? Millions of Vietnamese should have died. So, like, you know, Vietnam can be like the DPRK, right? Millions of people should have died, so we don't have a market. So Vietnam still being comprehensive sanctioned by USA to this day, right? Like, this is what kind of mindset are you talking about here? Like, are you really that evil? I don't understand it. So here's the thing too, like, whatever we does, we gonna get shit about it. So look at that. The DPRK, they decided to follow their paths, kept being sanctioned by the USA, and they received a ton of shit. We opened our economy to save our people, and we received a ton of fucking shit. So what? Cuba too, they receive also a ton of fucking shit. And Laos too, and China now, they also receive like even shit ton of shit. So the thing is that like, whatever we do, we gonna receive shit coming from all sides. So it is like, it's not right or wrong. The decision is like, in this kind of situation, it's not about right or wrong. It's about what is your priority. All right, what is your priority, and is that decision supported by your own people? It's like what we call it, an asporia kind of situation where no solution is a perfect solution. There's no good solution here. Whatever kind of solution or path that you choose, you're gonna receive like shit tons of shit, and then the bad things are gonna happen. The point is like the end of that, you know, like we call a situation where like the end will justify the means or not. All right, it's like a situation here, like, you know, how Vietnam will be in the future, how the DPRK will be in the future, how Cuba will be in the future. The answer is in the future. You know, the justification of the means, the why we are choosing this path, the answer is in the future. We do not know yet. I really love this kind of, you know, describe of the asporia kind of thing. You know, will the end justify the means? And we don't know yet, because like, there's going to be consequences, whatever path that we choose. And I don't blame anyone, the victims of capitalism, at all. I don't blame the victims of capitalism. The point is why we have to do this. It is literally imperialism, capitalism, the fucking USA, the West, okay, the entire imperial core. Those are the reason why Vietnam, Laos, North Korea, and Cuba have to be like this today. And whatever kind of decision that we make, we just try to survive in this situation. All right. Okay, you got it. It's tough. Yeah, the exact same thing. The Juches claim Vietnam of revision, just like the ultra leftists claim Vietnam of revisionists. Yeah, it's the normal because like, whatever, as I said, whatever we do, we will receive shit from all sides. So just move on. It's not weird. It's not weird. Actually, I think that your way you think about it is like very kind of, I don't know, kind of narrow, kind of minded. Because we face the same situation, but each of the person will have their own different answer. And you, if you're not from neither Vietnam or North Korea, you don't look at things like you're looking at right now. You don't try to find like, oh, is Vietnam right or is DPRK right? You don't think like that. You don't. Nobody, even Vietnamese people in Vietnam, do not like want you to judge us right or wrong because like the decision depends on the material condition. What you should do is you look at us and learn lesson from us. Okay, so these countries, they face kind of same similar situation, but they have a different solution, and look at how they are right now. That is a vision for you. If your society in the future face the exact same problem, you can have a lesson from say, okay, if we follow like what DPRK did, we have to get ready to be being sanctioned by the USA after decades and decades and decades and never able to deal with that. Oh, but if you open the economy like Vietnam, the economy will get better, but you have to deal with capitalism in the society and corruption and shit like this. So like we'll just give you an overview of different options to the same question. Understand it? You learn about us, you learn what is the right and the wrong, the bad thing and the good thing, the pros and cons of each kind of solution, and then based on that, you will design the best path for your society in the future. You don't judge us, or we don't need to be judged because like we just show you because like nobody. I usually make fun of from the famous quote from the Star Trek to boldly go where no one has gone before. Literally, countries like Vietnam, North Korea, and Cuba, and Laos right now, and China right now, we are boldly go where no one has gone before. No one. And we just trying to do baby step, and each of us try different paths, like different formula for different material conditions, and we hope that we don't know that we will succeed or we don't know if we will lose. Nobody knows. We just do it slowly and slowly, and because nobody knows what is the right answer yet. So what we do right now is we are setting like an example for you, so you can learn how to choose in the future, how to design in the future. That is it. That is really it. Yeah, it's basically like pick your poison. Exactly, fucking pick your poison. Like, I mean, here's the thing too. Like that's like a super huge big bully guy, and then a teeny tiny guy there, and then that bully big ass guy, the bullier, just like beat the shit out of that smaller guy. They're like, here, yes, son, this list of poisons. Pick one. If you do not pick one, you will be beaten to death. So like different guy will have to have a different choice of the poison. They know that they're poison, but if they don't choose it, they would beaten to death. So you do not blame, the guy that got beaten to choose poisons. You blame the fucking bullier right there that forced us into this situation. Nobody wants to be sanctioned by the USA, by anybody whatsoever. Nobody wants to, because that is devastating. That's atrocity, the genocide of millions of people. Nobody also want to be exploited by imperialism. Nobody wants to. But this is that we have to fucking choose it because the big guy out there. Literally, if we don't do it, I'd be beaten to fucking death instantly. Yeah, exactly. It's very complex. And history is not like black or white, good or bad. It's not. It's like very complicated. You need to look at the big picture and look at why we have this decision and what kind of prices they had to pay to be to this decision. Hey, why do I call sanction comprehensive? Because there are sanctions on just specific field. Like sanction on food only. Oh, no. Sanction on military sanction. The most kind of famous thing is military sanction, because we cannot aid or we cannot buy specific like weapons, or we cannot have a nuclear power. The military sanction, a kind of specific sanction too. You can go Google it. But comprehensive sanction is like everything is sanctioned. Your whole country is isolated. You cannot do anything with the outside world, like at all. Like the thing Cuba and like Korea, like North Korea doing it right now, in reality is comprehensive sanction. So like import and export things out of the country is so hard, and we have to do it through the opposite, what do you call it? The observation and the control of the USA. It's called comprehensive sanction, means sanction on every aspect, on every field, and they are like temporarily like Russia right now, they're facing like not comprehensive sanction, just sanction on energy and some kind of specific foods and some kind of feel like that, but not comprehensive. Comprehensive is like the worst kind of sanction where you're totally isolated by the rich country. Checking the chat right now. Am I a reason cell? So this is our supposed to be old live stream room, which is just like teeny tiny small like this. And because of the soundproofing issue, we had to put a layer of drywall and fabric, glass fabric behind this for soundproof. But now we are middle of the moving, so we take off our green screen and all the foam to absorb the echo. So that's just it. That's just our raw live stream room, which is teeny tiny and ding and dom. Oh no. DPK likes Vietnam. Yeah, we good relationship. We have a good relationship with each other. Actually, a few years ago, when Kim Jong Un came to Vietnam, also talk about a little bit about the model. Vietnam explained the model of our model to the PRK, and they might consider following a little bit. I mean, like like the comrades exchange kind of thing. But we have a good relationship with each other, and we send like tons of rice to DPRK a lot too, lots of thousands of tons of rice, and also to Cuba too. So yeah, we try to help each other a lot. Oh, we have about 6 minutes left. A lot of Lao communists named their sons after Quezon. That's sweet. I didn't know that. That's really sweet. Quezon from behind is cool. Oh, it's 2 a.m. in Brazil. Oh, I hope that you would have a nice sleep. And I know that the election is going to be in 5 days. Best wishes for you. And I hope that Lula will win for Bolsonaro. I do hope that. And here's the thing that I'm afraid. Lula will win. Very high chance Lula will win. But the thing I'm afraid like what's going to happen after that? Because Bolsonaro kind of threatened to not leave peacefully. So I hope that you ready for that. God damn. It's so hard to get rid of a dictator, you know. Oh, okay, about this video. I watch it. I think that is generally speaking is problematic in a sense that like I think that the thing is what do I say it in like so you the Mark Clubbing, thank you so much for your very generous donation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Back to the question. My biggest problem with it is that like they kind of same argument as like the LGBTQ kind of movement is like the bourgeois movement or something. Sounds a lot like a MAGA communist kind of thing, the Hazite kind of thing. So like the LGBTQ is like just like the bourgeois kind of ideology or something like that. Is like the consequence, the product of the bourgeois society, which is that we need to like end. That I do not like that, because here's the thing too. Vietnamese society, we've been having queer community for hundreds of years. Hundreds. Not like even thousands of years. We believe this. Which is very interesting to talk about. We call it the third gender kind of thing. So we believe that men have a 7 lives, women have a 9 life. Like this. Men have a 7 lives, women have a 9 lives. But queer people, especially trans people, they have an 8 life. And 8 is the ultimate, the closest to God. They are God-like people. Okay, with 8 lives, it's something in the middle. Okay, it doesn't mean that they are like 8 is less than 9. That's bullshit. Don't think of it like that. Okay, please don't. When if you're a Westerner, you think that what we believe is that like trans people, they have an 8 life, which is God-like, which is they are closer to God. So you can think like this: like men have 7 lives, women have 8 lives, and women have 9 lives, and trans people with this, they have 8 lives, and they are God-like. That is why like they are more pure, they special. That is why like in special ceremony, gods and goddesses will borrow their bodies to speak and to give advice and to give them wisdom to our people. And that belief turned into a religion in Vietnam. A religion in Vietnam for hundreds of years, and we worship our fathers and mothers, our gods and goddesses, and the gods and goddesses will speak through the body of those special people, and we worship them, and we think that they are like godlike, and we have to ask for their wisdom and their advice. And yeah, that is only that we do not think that we've been having this belief that it turned into a religion in Vietnam. We worship that. For the reason it has nothing to do with like like the bourgeois society or the like imperialism, because we've been having it for thousands of years, and we feel like we respect that. We respect it, and we worship them, and they have a like kind of spiritual kind of role in our society. And it's like not just Vietnam, in many other indigenous societies over the world for thousands of years, we also have a third gender kind of belief like that, and we have a third gender like pronouns for them for hundreds of years. We've been having that. The thing is that any communists who think that the LGBTQ is just like the bourgeois thing, they very narrow-minded, because they only consider. I think they're chauvinistic too. because all they know is about the knowledge of a Western imperialist capitalist society, where like the like the queer phobia, homophobia, and then also like the rainbow capitalism, where they need to like make like recuperate the LGBTQ plus movement. They only know about that kind of society. So it's like they're like, oh, so everything related to LGBTQ is bad because they already like you use it. Like, no, we indigenous societies from all over fucking the world, we've been having this belief for thousands of years. We have a whole religion based on it and still active to this day, and it's like sacred. Okay? It of course, like it is like the capitalism will recuperate every movement that is powerful. That is why we have a rainbow capitalism. And it sucks. We need to fight against that. But it doesn't mean that we have to eliminate the whole idea of queer community, because gender and sexual orientation are two different things. All right? And the point of being communist, the point of having a communist society is the true liberation of the whole humanity. By liberation, I mean fucking true liberation of you can live as who you are. I am a bisexual Vietnamese woman living in Vietnam. I am a member of the queer community in Vietnam. I want to have the right to live as who I am without being judged by those queerphobic people. Shut up, those shitty people. Okay? And communism is a society when you can truly live up to be who you really are without being oppressed by the system, by the government. That is very important. All right? And yeah, and the thing is that like it's very ignorant for those people to say that LGBTQ plus is like just a bourgeois thing. Like, dude, we've been having this for thousands of years. Can you please shut the fuck up? You don't know shit. You need to fight against the rainbow capitalism. Yes, we are fighting against that too. We don't want our identity to be used by capitalists to oppress other people, to make more profit for them. No. Okay? But like you have to distinguish. That's like the land bank thing, exact same as land bank, because the land bank being recuperated by Jeff Bezos or George Soros or anything like that. They like kind of create an organization, blah blah blah. So like all land bank is bad. Like how ignorant you must be to really saw like 1 or 2 billionaire recuperate land bank and donate to that organization of them, to say that the whole idea of land bank of indigenous people in the last 500 of years is problem of imperialism and capitalism. How ignorant you must be, how chauvinistic you must be to literally take one phenomenon from the capitalist society and then blame that all, water it down to all the literally whole the movement of millions of indigenous people to like 500 years of history. We've been talking about land back for hundreds of fucking years, and nobody listened, nobody heard. But suddenly, one like Jeff Bezos, George Soros, like donated to an organization called Land Bank. So now everybody talk about land bank and how actually land bank is actually bad. Like, dude, stop talking, please, and start listening. All right. No, I'm not gonna make a response. It's not worth it. It's not. I'm not gonna do it. Nah. I'm checking the chat right now. Oh, I guess you joined late. I talked a little bit about, but just I will sum up the stream today. First, In the 4 days ago, the United Nations Secretary General we officially visited Vietnam, and in that meeting, that Antonio, kind of secretary, uh, praised Vietnam and said that Vietnam's model is like Vietnam is like the model of success for other countries to follow. So it's I kind of want to laugh at it. So I'm like, okay, amazing. At least like even like the United Nations like see that we did something right. The second thing is that Vietnam is trying to enhance the relationship between Cuba, and we're trying to help Cuba rebuild their infrastructure by investing, like like the construction materials kind of industry there to try to help them. At the same time, I talk about how Vietnam is not perfect. You have so many problems, such as the corruption in the Ministry of Education in Vietnam. So yeah, that's the main three topic of my video. Yeah, we are over time. Yeah, I want to show this answer before, because like this this person said like it wasn't called LGBTQ from the start. Yeah, it's just not, except the society have our own name. Because like we've been living with them for thousands of years, so we have our own names and definition to call it. LGBTQ plus is like the modern kind of word like used by English speaking people. That is why it's more common, but if you like just ask any indigenous people living outside the imperial core, we would have a whole set of language for you to call those people, like even though we have a different culture, different name, different definition, but in the core it's still the same. We're talking about a community of people that does not conform to the norm, quote unquote. But I hate it. It's not the norm, but I mean, I guess you know what I mean. Like, do not conform to the idea, the homophobic idea, kind of just there are just only two gender, like male and female, and you have to conform to one of these two. If you're not, you're like pervert or anything like no. In our society, for thousands of years, we acknowledge that queer community exists, and they have a special role in our society, and we have a different pronouns, we have a whole religion, we have a whole explanation of that. LGBTQ plus is just a word in English that's sadly the most widely spoken language in this world. That is why most of us just use LGBTQ plus to explain about our understanding of our own community. But if you learn our language, you will know we have a shit tons of other language and words and names and pronouns for those people. So I mean, LGBTQ is just a word that we use to describe ourselves without having to explain to you a whole huge concept. Like the most easy and simple way to do it. Okay, it's not, it doesn't mean anything like it's like just a new thing. It doesn't mean that the queer community just existed, because like no, we've been having that kind of concept for thousands of years. So, and we just use different because we have a different culture and languages. That's all. Yeah, we only call people that because Western culture normalized hetero cis culture as the default and needed words to conceive for what was not the default. If there wasn't a default, we wouldn't even need the word for gay or lesbian or anything. We just asked people their preferences when we got interested in someone. Exactly, it's true. Like that. Yeah, we didn't just pop into existence. Lots of people literally like, yeah, lots of people literally just believe that we just exist in the last like 10 years. Suddenly popped up like, like just exist from thin air. It's like, oh, okay, no, suddenly like, no, it's not. We've been here on this earth. So here's the thing, it's just like the brand new. I think that we just found a few years ago. We just found a brand new frog in Vietnam that is very beautiful and teeny tiny, beautiful. I think so. I read it, and like we just named them too. Now here's the thing: if you compare the situation to the LGBTQ plus queer community position, okay, that frogs been existing in Vietnam for God knows how long, millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years, but just now we found out about them and we named them. The name is brand new. All right, so it doesn't mean that suddenly the frogs exist from thin air now they just exist. It's like a new thing. Yeah, no, they've been there quietly for hundreds of thousands of years, and now we just found out and we got a name for them finally. The same with queer community. They've been existing from the start, from starting point of time. Okay, with humanity, the history of humanity, but only now, it's different cultures have our own explanation and names for it. But only now, the English-speaking sphere, sadly, as I said, the most widely spoken language in the world due to fucking colonialism. All right, we were forced to speak English, to speak to you. All right, to explain to each other, talk to each other too. So in the English-speaking sphere, you came up with a term to call that community. It doesn't mean that that community just exists in the last few years. We've been here, but now you just have found a word to explain it. All right, just like the dark matter in the like in the cosmos, in the universe, the dark matter, it's been there from the starting point of time, from the Big Bang. It's there, but we don't know nothing about it. And then no, we just call it the dark matter. It doesn't mean that suddenly the dark matter exists. It's been there the whole time. Now we just call and just know that they exist, and when we find out what to call it. So it's like it's very annoying and laughable at the same time. You see a bunch of queerphobic people just keep complaining the LGBTQ plus is just like the product of imperialism and capitalism. Is like from the bourgeois society. Like, dude, no, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. It's like the Europeans that discovered the Americas. Exactly. Yeah, dark matter is just matter that we do not know the way to measure or to observe them yet. So we just call it dark matter. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Market commies, they're just fascists. They're rebranding fascists. They believe in the same exact thing that Nazis and Hitler believe in, which is anti-LGBTQ plus, extremely queerphobic and also like misogynistic and also, extremely fucking racist. And I got sexually harassed by one of those. So yeah, they just rebranded fascists. Yeah, our human, the knowledge and technology of humanity is not high quality enough to really learn about it. So we just know that there must be something there that keep this universe function and going, like not falling apart. But we just cannot know about it yet. We cannot study it yet. So we just go there. It's the thing that we have to admit the fact that we as a humanity is very young compared to the universe, and we still need a lot to learn and a lot to develop, and we are not know-it-all kind of species. Still so many things that we need to discover. Okay, we are way over time. Thank you so much for being here with me, and see you next week. Bye bye, everybody, and thank you so much for the super chats and donations too. Bye, everybody.